Welcome to the SubSummit podcast. Real conversations with the operators scaling subscription, membership, and recurring revenue in today's commerce landscape.
Welcome back to the SubSummit podcast. Now, a lot of subscription conversations start with brands that were born into recurring revenue, digital native, mobile first, built around the subscriber from day one. But Swanson Vitamins is a different kind of story. This is a 56-year-old direct-to-consumer wellness brand with deep customer trust, more than 1,200 SKUs, and a long history of building direct relationships with the customers. Now, Swanson Vitamins is in the middle of a bigger D2C evolution, modernizing its commerce foundation with Shopify and Order Groove, and making subscription a more central part of how business grows. That's that makes this conversation really interesting. This isn't a finished story. It's just the beginning of a launch story. It's about what happens when an established brand asks, hey, how do we actually make subscription feel worthy of the trust customers already have in us? I'm joined by two people today leading the shift from different sides. Erin Del Ponte is SVP, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Swanson Vitamins, where she leads brand loyalty, subscription, and print. And Meghan Carlson is the Manager of Customer Success at Order Groove, where she and her team partner with Erin and Swanson on subscription strategy behind the scenes. Erin, Meghan, welcome. Man, that was a long intro. We'll shorten that up on the actual live. That's cool. So let's start with the bigger picture. This is a legacy D2C brand with decades of customer relationships that are already in place. So the interesting question is, why make subscriptions more central now? And Erin, I'm going to direct this at you. For anyone less familiar with Swanson Vitamins, can you give us maybe a quick version of who you are, what you're all about, and what makes the relationship special between you and your customers?
So Swanson, like you said earlier, is a 56-year-old brand. What's really interesting about us is we are actually a global brand, but we're really rooted in D2C. So we have a very loyal customer base, as in we have customers that will call us consistently. If they don't get an email during the day, they will call us and ask what's happening. Why didn't their email show up? So we know that they're highly engaged. We happen to be at a point in our journey for the brand that we are really evolving and telling the story of who we are. So we not only have 1,200 products, but we actually innovate, manufacture, and ship those products from Fargo, North Dakota. So we've been very Midwest humble and not telling that story, but there's also a piece of our business where our customers view us as an ally who are helping them along their wellness journey. They look to us for education. They look to us for the next thing to add to their stack. So for us to lean into subscription at this point in time really is part of this whole brand evolution of bringing forward who we are. We talk about proof over promise. So the whole idea, we don't have to tell you what's great about us, you see it in how we deliver it. So delivering a customer experience through subscription where we help our customers with routines, we help them find the next best product, really just seems natural as part of this brand evolution.
Nice. Now, Meghan, you're working with Swanson Vitamins from strategy into execution. What's the partnership look like when it comes to in practice every day?
Yeah. Well, as you can see, the fact that Erin and I are together, it's a very positive partnership.
Yeah, you were fist pumping. That was good.
Yeah. We're a team. But at Order Groove, all of our customers have a customer success manager that helps support their business and their subscription program. So really, the way we look at our role is trying to be an extension of their team, understanding their business objectives, program objectives, and strategizing based off of those goals and KPIs. Where does subscriptions fit into that? What are the best practices? What makes sense for their brand and their business? And working collectively towards those goals. And then it's really just a collaborative process, to simply put it. I'll let Erin also kind of weigh in on how she looks at the relationship, but we're just meant to kind of be an ally for them, not just self-serving for Order Groove, but what's best for their business in the constraints of
Seems like the perfect fit, and you guys, stay in your zone of genius. You on your side, and of course Erin and her side with Swanson. Erin, so Swanson's been a direct-to-consumer brand for decades. What's changed, and what makes subscription a bigger priority now?
So I think subscription, admittedly, in the past has been a little bit of sort of like set it and forget it, which we acknowledge as not the best way to serve our customers. So as we rethink how we evolve our brand and think about how we show up for customers, for us, it was important for us to deliver an experience that helps them continue their routine, helps customers find the next product to add to their stack, and also gives them an experience where they can be flexible, make changes. If you go on vacation, great, I'll pause you for a month, or you can actually have your product delivered sooner. We wanted to create an experience that really brought forth what we want to be as a brand. When we think about subscription, it's not just a transaction, it's an extension of how we come to life as a brand to the consumer.
All right, well, let's talk about the experience now. Now, if a customer already trusts Swanson, which they do, subscription can feel bolted on, a little clunky. It has to feel like a relationship. So, Erin, as a subscription begins to be a bigger part of the D2C strategy, how are you thinking about what the experience needs to feel like for Swanson Vitamin customers?
We want to, first of all, make it very easy for them to enroll. And in a way, so we've exchanged the experience on the site. So we are very much subscription first. But what we know from our customers, they want that. They want to know that there's a way for them to create a routine in a way that's easy and provides the greatest value available. So for us, it's not even just getting them into the program, it's helping them find the next thing to add to their stack. So you've been taking magnesium for 3 months. Hey, the next thing you want to pair with that is D3 plus K2. And we want to come to them in a place of, hey, let's educate you and help you make yourself better. So helping with their routine as well.
Nice. So, Erin and Meghan, a handful of specific decisions ended up mattering a lot. The rebrand from Easy Refill to Subscribe to Save, repositioning subscription on the product page details, adding payments options like PayPal. What's the thread that connects those choices?
Yeah, I'd say what we strive for is creating clear, seamless, frictionless experiences, which goes in line with the Swanson brand of trying to make things feel very personal. So any of the touch points, whether it's from enrollment through checkout and the management of those subscriptions and all the omni-channel touch points, we want that to all feel as effortless as possible. So a lot of the enhancements that they've been making have been to optimize to make that as easy and clear for their customers. So they have made a lot of enhancements around the enrollment experience, giving their customers more options on how they want to pay for those products. And then on the management side, whether it's making it easier for them to add to upcoming orders, manage those subscriptions, how they want to have them fulfilled and when, the overall, all of these updates and enhancements have just been end to end improving that relationship and then how they just want to consume their wellness routine as well.
I'll piggyback on that too. From the brand perspective, in regard to changing the name of the program, what we learned from consumers that Easy Refill didn't resonate with them. Internally, it was something that was important to us, but it wasn't important to the customer. So what we wanted to do is make it easy identifiable that this is a subscription program. You understand what you are signing up for. You understand how it's helping your routine. And then adding payment options, we heard from consumers loud and clear. They wanted options like PayPal and Venmo and Google Pay. And so we wanted to make sure we were there for them. Again, that whole idea of us being an ally, helping them in their wellness journey. And that's not just with product, it's in services as well.
Yeah, make it easy for the customer and give them the terminology that they can relate to rather than feeling like a prescription, make it feel like a wellness. Erin, so you modernized the Commerce Foundation with Shopify and Order Groove. How does that support the kind of subscriber experience that you're trying to build over time? I know trust is real important to you.
Yeah, I think it's been huge. For us, we previously were on a custom platform, which really was sort of inhibiting us from making improvements in the program and actually evolving with Order Groove. Order Groove sort of helped pull us along to evolve. And I think when we moved to Shopify, we're still in our infancy and we just migrated over in February. But for us, we're already delivering a better customer experience by being on that platform. And Order Groove has done a fantastic job of helping us in that journey too.
Nice. Well, a subscription-first strategy eventually becomes an operating question: how teams make decisions, how they reach customer behavior, how they keep improving after launch. So, Erin, as Swanson has leaned into being more subscription-first, what's had to evolve internally in terms of how teams work? How do you measure, or how do you make decisions just based upon the changes?
There's been a big campaign internally for subscription. We like to call it marketing the marketing. So it's really bringing the team along to understand the value of subscription to our customer, not just a revenue stream, but a way for us to provide more service to customers, to give them the routine that they're looking for. And so we've had to do, we actually call it internal roadshow, talking to each team to explain, here's the roadmap of how we're going to evolve the program. Here's how it's helping the customer. And we've actually really leaned with our customer care team as well. We found out during our research as we were mapping out how to really truly be subscription first, our customer care team didn't even feel comfortable talking about subscription because they didn't understand it and didn't understand the value to customers. So we saw that as an opportunity for us to train them and bring them along for the ride, and so that they can also help customers.
So it's interesting. You have two customers. You have the end customer, and you also have your internal customer. You have to make sure you're selling them and they understand it too. Meghan, across the brands you work with, what separates teams that turn subscription into an ongoing growth engine from teams that treat launch as maybe the finish line?
Yeah, Erin started to allude to this earlier, but the difference between what we see with different customers is you can't just set it and forget it. Trends change, features change, customer behaviors change. There has to be investment to continually reflect back on how your subscription program is performing. Where does it need to pivot? Where does it need to evolve? Where does it need to enhance? So carving out space and investment for continuing to track performance, see where there's opportunity to improve. Not everyone gives it that same kind of commitment over time. So committing to that is one piece. And then cross-functionally, in these companies' infrastructure, like it's important that you don't just have support of the business team, but the tech teams need to be aligned. Marketing teams need to be aligned. There's a lot of cross-functional partners that make the whole experience turn. And so that's the biggest thing where the most successful brands have all of those teams bought in, and then they've all kind of carved out space in their own roadmaps and planning to enhance whenever the time feels right and prioritize up or down as they see fit for the subscription program based on the performance and metrics that we're seeing.
Well, walk us through this for just a moment. How do you typically partner with a brand over time? What's it look like maybe in the first quarter post-launch, the first half year, the first year, maybe even beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, not every customer is cut the same, so it looks different depending on the industry, the business, then the program maturity. But in the case of Swanson, they're not a net new subscription program, but they are kind of in a relaunch phase. So pretending that this is a new customer, first we kind of just want to make sure everything is stable. Is the customer journey and experience expecting what we want? Is it people are able to check out successfully, manage successfully, or, is everything feeling frictionless? And then from there, looking at the data, what is it telling us? Are we having great success that we were hoping for enrollment? Are we now pivoting to, okay, now how does the lifetime value look? What is that retention play? Or do we still need to stay focused on enrollment? Usually new programs, enrollment is the first piece that we're looking for. But once we've got them in, how do we keep them? So the retention story is just as important, but it all kind of just goes back to like, what is the data telling us? And so it helps us kind of figure out where we need to pivot and focus. And that can look different, but usually the first 90 days is stability and enrollment, and then you get into more of the strength of the retention. But through those first half of the year, 12-month out, you start to get more into the strategic planning of what's next, what's to come, and how to plan for that. But again, it all kind of just roots back into the data to figure out where we need to focus. And it could also just be, again, omni-channel too. Where else do we need to help fill in gaps to kind of further boost that lifetime value?
Sounds like a partnership made in heaven. At some point, the question becomes, what's the customer telling you? So not just through revenue, but through the signals that help you decide what to do next. So Erin, beyond revenue, what tells you customers are responding? Search, reviews, engagement, repeat behavior? What are they telling you?
Yeah, I think there's two big call outs here. One is we have a very engaged customer base, and they will come and tell us exactly what they think. We have people who will proactively reach out to us, whether it's through DMs, chats, or even call us. We still have a contingency that still calls us. So we hear upfront what customers think about anything that we're doing. In terms of engagement, what we look at is understanding how much our consumers are adding more to their subscription and that they're responding to the personalized recommendations that we're giving to them as well. So those are signals to us that we're delivering the right message at the right time.
Excellent. Excellent. So, Erin, one of the early signals has been hard to ignore. Subscriptions have been roughly doubling week over week since these changes. What do you think is driving that?
Well, it's early, so we're very cautiously optimistic. But I think a lot of what we can attribute to this early success that we're seeing is really setting up the program and delivering the message to our customers in a way that they want to see it. We aren't burying the fact that we have a subscription program available. We're also calling out the benefits and letting them know the flexibility and the control that they have when they become part of our subscription family. So I think that's been really key in driving this early success that we're seeing.
So Meghan, once the performance results start coming in, what tells you where the real opportunity is?
Depending on the data, what that tells us. But we don't just want to force ourselves and insert ourselves of what we think is best. It needs to also make sense for their business. So based off of what they've set out as their own business objectives, what are we seeing and where does that need to align with their overall business and also their program objectives? So If it's, hey, we're seeing really strong signals with enrollment, let's make sure that those that we've got in the pipeline, we're having those strong retention plays. And what are those tactics that make sense, that feel on brand, that synergize and then give that trusted experience? But there's also other elements of like, how does order placement look? Are there things that can kind of creep up on you that maybe you haven't quite looked at? So again, data mining is important, making sure that all the order placement is successful, paying attention to any sort of cancellation reasons of those that are churning. Why are they churning? How can we shore that up? And that kind of starts to dovetail into the roadmap planning of what's the vision of like based on where we're seeing. But also, as Erin kind of alluded to, they get feedback from their customers that we don't get privy to. So it's this feedback loop that we have with the Swanson team of collaboration to put the whole picture together to figure out what makes most sense for a subscription and how that also feels appropriate for their overall business.
There's so many metrics, and then there's the personality, and then there's the person that's involved. How do you decide together what to focus on next? And it's not just the two of you. There's probably teams of people that have to decide. It's a decision by committee sometimes. How do you decide what to focus on?
And on the Swanson side of the business, for us, our CC will say it's revenue, right? But for us, from the brand side, for me, what delivers the best experience for our customers? What helps them understand the value in enrolling in our subscription program? And how do we extend the value of our brand through subscription? So I think for us being very collaborative with the Order Groove team is really being upfront with them on what's important to the business, what's important to the brand, what's important to our customers. And that helps us better prioritize where we want to focus our efforts.
Yeah, and the role we try to play is where we've seen success with some of our other customers, where we've seen the ROI for making certain choices and enhancements. We try to convey and provide that information so they can evaluate level of effort to execute, but also the return on that investment, time to deployment, so they can factor all of that into what makes sense short-term, mid-term, long-term, and the overall scheme of their, business planning. So it's a process.
I love it because it's an established brand trying new things, and that's got to be great for both of you because your experience that you're bringing to the table and your experience and wisdom and your company backing that you're bringing to the table as well. It's got to be great. So that's the question. What's the next chapter for Swanson's as it comes to the subscription side?
Yeah, there's a lot ahead. But I think for us, really leaning into personalization in a very different and special way. We know that our customers are very well educated. They're looking to add to the routine, find something different to add to the routine. So how do we help service them through subscription by providing them very personalized recommendations, helping them along the way in their journey? So I see us really leaning into that heavily coming forward. And I would say also being very clear in the value of the subscription program overall and really make it a reason why wouldn't you be a subscriber and part of the subscription family in Swanson.
And then Meghan, strategically, how do you decide what's the next step for subscriptions as it relates to just working with Swanson?
Well, for one, we all root it back to what is their own success plan, what are their own objectives. We want to make sure it fits in line with their goals. What we find really important, kind of the future state, is just like that personalization that is very important for the Swanson customers is how do you make subscriptions feel personal? And so kind of a future state is just like, as everybody kind of most people are discussing now, is the world of agentic and AI. Like, don't just do it for the sake of doing it, but find those opportunities that feel natural and organic for your brand to have those personal touch points and how can that synergize? So to me, that's kind of the next step of planning of how do we get to that next level to make everyone feel that we're supporting them directly versus a one-to-many communication.
So Meghan, zooming out, how does this talk to you and your company about, Meghan, about established brands working in the subscription model? They've already got a great business track. What does this tell you about all subscription models when it comes to other customers that you're working with as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's not I think a common thread that we're hearing from Swanson, and not just Swanson, is that personalization. How do we make subscriptions feel and mean more? To kind of get out of that one-off transactional relationship, making it feel like we understand them as a shopper of the brand. And so I think leaning into what are some of those agentic opportunities to really kind of make everything feel as cohesive and frictionless as possible, to try to be as proactive to understanding the customer needs. So to make sure that they feel that we know how they want to shop, how they want to buy, how they want to manage, and making that as seamless and frictionless as possible is just kind of where we see all of our customer programs going. That's not unique to just Swanson, but trying to make sure that that feels as organic and natural as possible.
Right. And Erin and Meghan, as we begin to wrap up, what's one thing that you take away from this that you can share with other brands that are in this process right now? What side of the story do you want them to know, or what can they take away from this experience that you guys have had?
I think for me, because I have, at my heart of hearts, I'm a brand person. For me, a subscription program isn't just a transactional program. It's something that's an extension of your brand and really needs to help bring your brand to life in a special way. We know that our subscription customers are extremely special to the business. So I think a program like this really needs to support the way you want to come to life as a brand and make sure consumers are seeing that.
Okay.
Yeah,
and Meghan?
and echoing that, I'll just say, like, really going from that transactional relationship to driving a relationship commerce. Really bridging the personalization is key. But the big thing for subscriptions is, like, the end of the game is lifetime value. How are we extending the value you have with that customer for as long as possible? And so it's a long game, and you want to make sure you're managing that over time, nurturing that, so it's not a set it and forget it, but making sure you're carving out space to continue to evolve and enhance that in programs so those relationships can feel more meaningful.
What a great partnership. What a great established brand. It shows growth behind the scenes. It shows a lot of experience, and it shows a great partnership. Erin and Meghan, thank you so much for
Thank you.
for sharing.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to the SubSummit podcast. If you want to be in the room with the operators building the next era of subscription and commerce, head to subsummit.com and grab your pass now. Make sure to follow the SubSummit podcast so you don't miss upcoming interviews with the founders, brands, and partners shaping the industry. We'll see you at the crossroads.